Welcome back into another preview video as we continue our look at the upcoming basketball season. And today we turn our sights to Nashua, Plainfield. You're going to get two videos today, as you have been for the last couple of weeks or so. And today's will be a girls Nashua, Plainfield video, and then the boys will come a little bit later. This is obviously the girls version. If you've missed any of the ones that we've done thus far, you can find them on my Twitter page. Find me at Taylor from Kway. That's Taylor from Kway over on Twitter. Or alternatively, you could just go to YouTube, search for Taylor, and it's probably one of those ways, at least one of those ways, is how you found me anyhow. So, yeah, let's get right on into it. Again, Nashua, Plainfield, who we're looking at. We're going to take a look at the girls' side of things first. And last year for Nashua, Plainfield, rough season, real rough season. 3-20 was their record. Obviously not where they wanted that to be. Their final game, 61-37, a loss to Jessup. But sort of the bright spot in that is that was in the second round of postseason play. That means they had a win in the first round. And that's something to build off of. And that's certainly something to keep in mind as we get going here in this preview video, remembering that they had a postseason win last year. And yes, you may say, it was early on. Not even all the teams were playing at that point in postseason play. But I don't care. A postseason win is a postseason win. And they got one last year. And that's certainly something to build off of. And so I think that could be a catalyst. It could be a catalyst for this team. Other stats from last year's team, they scored just 33.8 points per game. That's low. That number needs to go up if they're going to win more than 3 games this season. They also need to cut way down on the turnovers. You've heard me say that a number of times with a number of teams. That is a huge key for them. 562 turnovers is just an astronomical number. They've got to bring that way down if they're going to do any damage this year at all. The assist number, honestly, when you've gotten that many turnovers, the assist number doesn't really matter. But they did have 185 last season on the year, and that ratio is just definitely not where anybody wants it. The players, they weren't trying to turn it over. Of course, they're going to need to cut down on that turnover number quite a lot if they want to do any damage this season. They also pulled down 23.3 rebounds a game. That number also is a little light for me. I'd like to see that up quite a bit, in fact. They scored more points in the fourth quarter. We've talked about that as well. That is a signifier that you probably were in some games where you were getting blown out and facing second teams late on in games, and I think that probably was the case with Nashua, Plainfield, and why they were able to score more points in the fourth quarter. And then you look at the point differential, you average it out over the course of the season, minus 25.3 points per game. So they were losing by 25 points, and obviously that's just not going to get it done in any sort of way. Again, just 2 regular season wins last year, and they're going to be looking to improve on those numbers. The question becomes, do they have the players? Do they have the ability to do that? Well, let's take a look. And from that team last year, they lose 2 seniors, but 2 pretty important seniors, 2 seniors that played big-time roles, really, for this Nashua Plainfield Huskies team last year. And the biggest name that they will lose is Brittany Holthouse, who has now moved along. 10.6 points per game is what she averaged. That led the team. A very good athlete. Really liked her game. Really liked watching her high school career. The sports that I was able to see her play was a really fun athlete to watch. And so Nashua Plainfield losing her certainly will hurt. Now, she, in addition to leading the team in scoring, also pulled down 4 rebounds a game. That's pretty good out of a player that really was handling the ball more often than not. She also led the team in assists. With 64 assists in 23 games, which actually isn't too bad, and 91 steals. 91 steals in 23 games. That's really good. She played a big-time role, both offensively and defensively, for this team. In fact, I would argue, and I don't know that I would get a whole lot of argument back, that she was the best player on this team last year. And anytime you lose your best player, that's going to be tough to deal with. And so that's the case here with Nashua Plainfield. They lose her. They also lose Sydney Hansen. She averaged 5.6 points a game, but a very good athlete. Really liked what Sydney Hansen did as well. She averaged 6.4 rebounds a game, so could pull down the rock, and she averaged 35 assists in just 16 games. So she could do a little bit of everything as well for this team. And I mean, those are two really solid quality teams that you lose off of a 3-win team. That hurts. That really, really does hurt. So who does Nashua Plainfield have that can maybe try to make up for that loss just a little bit? Well, the biggest name coming back is Libby Fisher. Really like Libby Fisher. A very good athlete. She's strong. She's physical. I like her game a lot. She averaged in double figures last year as a sophomore. 10.2 points per game last year. I think that number goes up. It probably needs to be around the 15 mark if they're going to be doing much of anything Nashua Plainfield. Now, that's probably asking quite a bit of Libby Fisher, who did a lot for this team last year, but she's got the ability to do it, but she needs to definitely make sure it's within the plan of the team for sure. And again, it may be asking just a little bit too much of a player that's already doing a ton for this squad. And she did lead the team in rebounding last year, 6.7 rebounds a game. She is a force. The question will be, can Nashua Plainfield get her in situations where she can score and get the ball to her down the court? Who's going to be that player who's playing that role of handling the ball and getting the ball in to Libby Fisher? I think that the biggest option, the best option, the number one option almost every time down the court should be find Libby, see if we can get her to get a shot up there. I think that probably will be the best course of action. But, who's going to be handling that ball? Who's going to be the person that's in charge of getting the ball to Libby? Well, one of the players may be Brianna Bieneman, who had some really, really good games last year. She averaged 4.5 points a game, but she had some other games where she scored much, much more than that. She also was able to assist 23 times over 23 games. So won a game, which, yes, it's not great. It's not great, but she has some experience in getting assists and finding players who can score. And so that's why I think that she's going to be a real key on this team too, to see if she can find Libby Fisher and try to get the offense going. I think that's the offense. The points number is going to need to go up for Bieneman. However, if Nashua Plainfield are to try to make a run at something, I think she needs to be that running mate along with Libby Fisher, sort of an inside-outside between those two, because Bieneman did shoot a ton of threes. Now, the percentage isn't great, 23%, but if she can up that closer to 30% this year, she shot 108 threes last year, so if she can get up closer to 30%, that automatically, all of a sudden, makes Nashua Plainfield much, much more dangerous. So I think that's maybe one thing where she could probably focus on that part of her game, along with getting the ball, feeding Libby Fisher. Those are kind of the two big spots where if she can improve from last year to this year, that could make Nashua Plainfield very, 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 very dangerous. There are some other players as well. Shaylee Hansen, who was a sophomore last year, a junior this year, she could be a key player on this squad as well, averaging 3.4 rebounds a game last season. I think she can probably help Fisher on the glass at the very least. I think she is a name that's going to have to play a big role for Nashua Plainfield. Some others in there as well. Katie White, now a senior, she averaged 2.4 points a game. She shot some three-pointers. Made 12 of them. In fact, she was the only other one that made double-figure three-pointers other than Brianna Bieneman. She could be a huge factor as well, and I'm sure there's some younger players that we haven't heard about that are going to be thrown into starting roles or big roles off the bench. The big question, or the big sort of thing for Nashua Plainfield is going to be the turnovers. We already talked about it. I think you knew that I was going to come back to it. That's kind of the season. That's their season right there. Can you limit your turnovers? That is the biggest way to quickly turn around a 3-20 season and get back to closer towards double-figure wins, is to cut down on those turnovers, really protect the ball. You could even go out and score only 34 points a game again. If you're keeping hold of the ball and not giving the other team free points, That's going to go a long, long way. So I think that's going to be the biggest key for Nashua Plainfield. If they can keep hold of the ball, and then secondary to that, and I think by a fair margin, is get the offense going, whether it's Libby Fisher or her supporting cast, because I do think that Fisher will be sort of the brightest star on the court for the Huskies. Now, if you have not seen the other videos, you may not know about my rating system. The way that I do it, if I give you a 1, that means I think you are a state title contender. I think you've got a real shot to win a title. If I give you a 2, that means I think you're a state tournament contender. I think that means you've got a real shot to get to the state tournament. You could win it as well, but I think you're a team that's looking to get to the state tournament or there or thereabouts. A 3 would be a team that is just looking to win more games than they lose. Get into double-figure wins and make sure that number is bigger than the loss number, and then you never know what can happen in postseason play. And then a 4 would be a rebuilding team. And I think that this Nashua Plainfield team, coming off a 3-20 season, losing their 2 best players, they've got to be a 4. It's got to be a 4. They're definitely rebuilding. Now, how quickly the team does indeed rebuild, that'll be the question to be answered this season. But I think there's no doubt about it. This is a rebuilding squad, and there are still a number of young players on this team. So perhaps this season could be utilized, just seeing how much better these girls can get playing together as a team and just sort of get things going and see if they can start to get that snowball rolling. Get it going, get it going, get it going, and hopefully it rolls into a big old snowball, whether it's next year or a couple of years down the line, and this Nashua Plainfield team can be a real contender. But for this year, I've got them as a 4. Will still be very, very interesting to see what they do. And indeed, I will see them a number of times. You will hear them on the K-Way airwaves a number of times. Make sure you stay tuned to K-Way so you can know when exactly it will be that we'll have Nashua Plainfield games on. So with that, that's going to just about do it. Remember, stay tuned. We've got the boys video coming up just a little bit later. And until then, my name is Taylor Nitz. Okay, bye.